I stayed with John. My other cousin.
Oh,
Yeah, that's. Are you ready, Neil?
yes, we are.
Call the roll, please.
Columbi. Oxley. Here. Larson.
Here?
Penny.
Here.
Sonny.
Here.
Gersa.
Here?
Genslinger. Allen.
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right. We've had the agenda handed to us by the messenger or on the internet. We had a chance to look it over. Does anybody have a conflict of interest in anything that's on it?
I'll stand for 11.
Okay. Anything else? All right, let's go on to the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda, or are there any additions or corrections to it that we need to do?
Move to approve.
Second. Moved and seconded that the agenda be approved as presented. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Also in the packet provided to us was the minutes of the April 12th meeting. You've had an opportunity to review them. Are there any additions or corrections?
Move to approve.
Second. Moved and seconded that the minutes be approved as presented. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next scheduled meeting should be May 10th. Do I hear a motion to approve the blanket? Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded that the blanket be approved for May 10th. Discussion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 7 on the agenda, a plan approval for Exit Realty, 117 East 4th in the Central Business District. Neil, tell us what's going on there.
Hey, I see Mr. Klingeman is here, as well as Ethan Lumber, they're the contractor in this project. But if you want to take a look at page 6, you would see there's an aerial there showing where this property is going to be located. It looks like it's going to appear to be sandwiched in between the space between those two buildings, and you can kind of see from the aerial looking there, the red marks that you can kind of see there as well. And then on page 7 is the actual drawing of the 14 by 70-ish structure. One thing is that both of these properties are classified as contributing in the historic, and as well as this is the historic district. I did reach out to them. The one comment, a couple comments that they would have, they wanted to share, or to the SHPO, I should say, is one is as long as it's not attached to the two buildings. So it looks like this building's going to be independent of the building, as long as they're not attaching to that. And they would also like to see the front at least have some type of a historic appearance, at least not the solid metal, at least the front part of it. But I believe Mr. Klingeman could kind of comment on that. I think he's got some other plans for the other part of the building, but I'll let him speak to that. And this is in the Central Business District, so it just needs planning commission approval.
Mr. Building Inspector, you got any comments on what's proposed?
I see the plan, it says 2 layers of 5/8 sheetrock on the south wall.
I would guess that's fireproofing.
Well, it needs to be 4 layers. I think if it's less than 5 feet,
Okay.
because it's built out of type 5B, AKA wood construction, anything less than 5 carries a 1 hour, anything less than 10, or anything less than 10 is a 1 hour, anything less than 5 is a 2 hour.
So both sides should have it.
Well, yeah. That's the way they usually do them. They put 2 layers of 5/8 the outside, they stagger the seams, they put 2 layers of 5/8 inside, stagger the seams, they house wrap the outside.
Well, I'm talking about both south and north sides of this building, because you got...
No, he owns the other one. It's contiguous to that property.
Is it attached? I thought it was detached.
Yeah,
It's
it
separate.
is, but it's to the adjacent property owner, not to another building.
Okay, so you're protecting the other property. What about their own building? Don't you want to protect it too?
pretty much up to the owner.
It's contiguous to their building.
Okay.
They could connect the whole thing if they wanted to.
So does that have to extend, does that fire rating have to extend along the roof too? I mean, typically it's gotta be at least 4 feet or.
Yeah,
something
typically
along
the
roof.
first layer of OSB would, or whatever they put would be a fire rated plywood. Because it's built out of type 5D construction. Now, if it was a block wall, I don't think you'd have that problem with a parapet, like the others.
The one question I had when I looked at that, there's a set of stairs that come out of that south building that go into whatever you call that, alley or whatever.
Yep.
So this garage is built for that, so those steps, I guess that's the part.
And I'm not looking at the other building.
Okay, let's not say that.
I guess I don't have a plan on the other building, so.
I have a survey here I just had SPN do,
Oh, okay.
and those steps are on my property,
Oh, okay.
so.
Okay. That's what, because that's typically what they did.
Yep.
A long time ago. They
Yeah.
Sort of used other people's.
They're on my property. I guess to make it, peace with the neighbor, I would, if this was approved, I would call him and see if, even though they're on my property, if I can just reroute them one way or the other for him, if it's approved, and,
So your building, the south wall of your building is going to be, what is that, 4 feet? Or
there's a sidewalk between it, and it's brick.
It looks like 2.8 feet. Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Is that from your wall to the property line?
Probably, yeah.
Or to his house, to the property line or to his property, his wall?
His wall, from my building to his wall is 32 inches,
So there's no overhang on it?
and that's all my property there.
All right, well, we better let the gentleman who is proposing to build the building talk to us a little bit.
I mean, feasibly downtown, it's 0 setback, so you can be 0 setback, but then fire code kind of bites you.
Yeah.
That's why most of the buildings downtown are blocked,
Yeah.
I believe. I mean, unless there's a different route, we could look and, I've never seen a different code on it, but.
Okay, talk to us.
There will not be an overhang on the side.
Okay.
So, and if we need to put 2 layers of sheet rock, 5/8 on the inside wall of that, we can do that, and same with the roof line.
And that was my question, this 2.8 feet up here, that's from his wall to the other wall?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And he can be 0, you can bar it up against it. Like I said, the fire rating in the wall is gonna dictate really what you do here.
Well,
Because there's really nothing to stop us from letting him build,
yeah.
except the fire code.
Any other questions for this gentleman? Got any idea what he's planning to store in this new building?
Just a garage vehicles, is what I'm understanding, yeah.
Because this is also your residence, right, Cleve?
Yeah.
So it's his residence.
I renovated the upstairs, and, pretty much the whole inside of the building. Plan to do the whole outside. I've been tuck pointing, and the drive-in on the east side is, in poor shape. That's going to be redone, and when I do that, I will address the front of this garage, probably after it's built, within, as soon as I can get a drive-in guy there, which takes forever sometimes.
Yeah.
But hopefully sometime this season, and, it will look very nice, and I'm not gonna do it I'm gonna do it so it looks good.
And Neil, it sounds like you corresponded with Triple, but one thing I wanna clear up is, did they make a mandatory that he does in front of the building for storage, or they would like to see it done? Now, I don't want him to come back to me and say, you wrote the permit, and you were supposed to make him do this.
I mean, honestly, in there, it's kind of hidden, really you really won't be able to see it from the street even, really, but, I'll do whatever needs to be done to make it look nice.
So what are they classifying as historic then? I mean, is the drive-it gonna be sufficient, or?
Well, I would think, here's just my feeling on the whole thing. If we start, I think what's really screwed downtown up is people just put too much of that metal siding. They put it on drive it, or brick, or split face block, or some masonry product, I think is a lot more appropriate. I think that's what the historic people are saying, but the thing is if we approve metal, then I'm gonna say, across the street from my building, let's say Dr. Lucky's is there, they got that big grass yard, and he wants to put up a metal garage, you know? It's like, how can we say yes to Cleve and say no to him? But I just think it's just setting, just image-wise, it just doesn't fit, and for the little bit, if you could put some masonry or some driving on the parts that are exposed, I think it would fit in and a lot better, be a lot more appropriate. I mean, I'm just talking personally as an architect in terms of fitting into the historic look of downtown and not slap up this metal siding everywhere, because I personally think that's kind of what screwed downtown up. There's too many metal buildings down there already. Anyway, that's just my personal.
I mean, if you look down the alley, the building right behind it is metal.
Yeah,
I mean,
know, and that's
and it's metal, and it's basically gonna block an eyesore from, in the back of the alley from the street even.
Well, I'm working on buildings downtown too, and when I go down the alleys, it's just junk down there, and it's all this metal junk.
You know?
And that's what it is, it's just junk, and just because it's an alley doesn't mean you can junk it up, you know? But
Yeah.
that's just my thought as to the buildings that I look at
You know.
downtown. So, anyway.
Another thing, you know, with the school district or Schaefer's, when they owned the building, they did many modifications to that building, and it's not, I mean, it may be historical, but it does not look historical. I mean,
Well,
the
no.
drive, I bought it with the drive it falling off, there's junky windows on it, you know, it's, I don't know who approved that porch sitting on there, but, I mean, it's far from historic, and what I'm gonna do to it is I'm gonna make it look nice down there. I'm living down there. I want downtown, I've lived here my whole life. I want downtown to look nice, I want Mitchell to look nice, and I don't plan on doing it, you know, halfway. I want it, you know, if somebody's gonna drive by and see it, they will, when I redo the drive it on the building, that will be redone on the front of the building, but on my side, I mean, you know, between my building, I mean, nobody's really gonna see that. I mean,
But you're right, you know, your comments about the stuff that was done to that building, it's just, I mean, it's got about 3 different kinds of windows in there that don't fit.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I've updated.
aluminum windows, and they got some white windows, and.
I've updated all the windows upstairs, all the ones downstairs are getting redone by June. You know, I've looked into putting a garage in the basement, that's not gonna work. I think Tanya may have talked to you about it. You know, I've thought of doing that's not feasible whatsoever. So, I really don't want my cars sitting out down there, there's vandalism down there, I mean,
Well,
there's a lot of stuff, I would like to put them inside, but, I just figured this was tucked away enough, and I could make the facade of the building look good enough that, you know, that I can make it work.
All right, other questions?
My first question was, when you talk to Schipple, did they make a mandatory, or is it a suggestion?
They're suggesting that they get to take.
Right, and yeah, if it's their wish, and please leave. I just wanna know that I don't want it, if I must include it on the permit, and that's up to these people. But it doesn't come from Schipple directly. Okay, that's all my questions.
All right, further questions?
Do you foresee issues of drainage in between the buildings after that's constructed?
No, I don't. Sidewalk, everything slopes to the west.
It's all hard surface,
Yeah.
it's all concrete now.
The roof of the new building is gonna slope to the west. The building's gonna be built,
Existing flow path of any drainage through there is in between the buildings, like, or at that property line, that south property line?
the south property line drops down in between there, so the water will go into the same place that it was originally. Yep.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I guess we're ready for motion. I know. Well, I would make a motion to approve if the metal siding wasn't visible. That would be, that's the only problem I have with it.
Well, you got a 14-foot door in front. You know, that's gonna take most
Yeah,
of
there's not,
the view.
there's not much.
No, and then it's only gonna slope one way, right? So, and, is it the 10-foot on the low or the high part of the road? Is it 10-foot on the south side or the north
It's gonna be
side?
10 foot in the front, and all the sides are gonna be 10 foot. So the east
You're
end will be,
gonna have a ridge.
no,
No?
it'll be a flat sloped roof going back, because we don't want to dump any water to
Oh,
the
you're
side.
heading back to the west.
Correct.
Oh.
just like the driveway is.
Yeah.
It's kind of a hill
Yeah, I'm not,
So it's not gonna dump any water on,
It goes back to the alley now.
yeah,
Okay.
It's all hard concrete.
Okay, I thought you were talking about the south side there, that's
the
what.
south side, though, he was asking on the water, if, in between the buildings, but that drops down.
Looks like there's a sidewalk right through the sidewalk going to the east also. Does that sound correct?
I don't think so.
How far is it off the alley?
I did not measure that.
15, 20 feet.
16's our minimum, right?
No, not back down.
Not down on the alley?
It's,
So he could be zero then.
Okay. All right, we have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second? Well, the parts you see.
So what are you saying about what he should do at the front? Just make it,
Well, you can do, I mean, he's got to drive it on the east side. Then he's got brick. I think material like that, something other than vertical metal side.
Could I,
That's all I'm saying.
could I mean, can I originally, because I'd like it up as soon as Dan can put it up, but my drive it might not, I mean, he might not drive it until September. I mean, can I put the steel up until I get the drive it guy there to do the rest of the building?
Yeah, I don't see where that would, I don't see where that would.
Brick veneer or something?
I just, the thing is I just don't, the thing I'm concerned about, I just don't want to, for us to set a precedent for garage, this is the first garage downtown that I know of. And you have it met out of metal, then the next guy comes along and wants to build one, and it'll be on Main Street, where it'll be somewhere that's even more visible, and how, you can't say no, you can't say yes to one guy, no to the other guy.
well, you got those metal awnings downtown, you know.
So we have to get the rules,
That's not.
get the rules, straight of what kind of control, there should be. Maybe we can't control it, I don't know, but what should be is just, because we talked about cleaning up Main Street, and this is part of the problem. The materials that, in the past, that have been done and been approved, at some point, we just gotta say, okay, we don't wanna do this anymore, and it might take 20 years before we get it cleaned up, but that's just my thoughts. That's still, but I would approve it if it was not metal siding. What I hear you say, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is that the visual parts of the building should adhere to the decor of additional or adjacent property. That would be appropriate for the historic district. Yes. Is that what I hear you saying?
So you're saying the front and the back?
Front and the back, yeah. What are those parts that are exposed that you should see?
The building will be setting,
Around the corner or something to make it, the metal in between the garage and the south building, nobody's ever gonna see
no,
that.
right.
Even if you crawl back in there, you probably can't even really see it.
Yeah. Nope.
That's, and the metal that's adjacent to, the existing building, police building to the north, if he wants metal on there, that's, you know, it's just an image type thing or on. You understand what we're talking about here?
I do, and again, I reiterate that, you know, my family's been here for generations. I love Mitchell, I've lived here my whole life. I remember downtown in the 70s and 80s when I was a kid growing up. And I want to see, I mean, there's a reason I'm living down here. I want to see, and I'm redoing this building. I mean, it's important, and there's parts of it that are in poor shape that need to be fixed. And I'm living down there, and I want to see things improved down there. I guess if putting drive it on the front of the building is gonna make it good, then I'll do it. I mean, that's fine with me. The back, I mean, if you want me to, I guess,
But there's only 2 foot on the sides of the door, so.
you know,
But it's the front that's visible, so.
yeah.
And, you know, part of the side where your door is at.
Well, I know what you're talking about, Cleve, and the area, the actual physical square foot area is probably so minor that, you know, I wouldn't think that it would be a big cost difference between the two. I see that it would maybe be
It's probably the biggest hassle is
$15,000.
getting somebody there to do it, you know.
And I agree with the gentleman that, you know, if you can't get a contractor in there to September or later, you know, let's give him, what, a period of time?
Yeah.
And,
Well, let's just call it no metal at all, and just to build it to the surround.
yeah,
Otherwise, just say, I agree with Larry, no metal in the front.
yeah.
Well, the only thing is you can have a metal garage door.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard to make that a version stuff.
But as far as the walls, no.
The front and the back.
If you're okay with that, I'd say, I'll second that, so.
All right, Neil, have you got the motion and a second?
Do I have a period of time to get that converted?
I'm not gonna set a time.
I would say a year. I mean,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Because I know contractors, it's hard to get contractors, you know, I'm working on a project and you can't get anybody to bid anything because everybody's so busy. Well,
Yeah.
I think you're talking about a specialty, somebody that has some special skills here. Right.
We've had lots of guys over there and they bid you and you don't hear from, you don't hear from them. You know, I have things that need to be done, you know, that we had bid in August when we bought the building. And I'm still waiting, so.
All right, Neil, you got the motion?
I want to make sure I understood this right. Moved by Jersa, second by Osterloo to approve, however, they would like to see the metal siding that is exposed to would be the front and back, have a decorum that is similar to the adjacent property. That means whichever,
Completed in 12 months.
and yes, with 1 year from today.
And mostly, he is in the historical district.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I really don't have any restriction on building material downtown if it's out of the historic district, but that's why Larry made that point, I wanna make sure it's reiterated that because it's in historical district, we're not picking on Cleve.
Yeah.
It's a recommendation by SHPO and we try to follow them best we can.
Okay. Is there further discussion on the motion? Hearing that, I assume you're ready to vote. Neil, we have to go roll call on this one, I'm sure.
Okay. Larson.
Yes.
Sonny.
Yes.
Osterloo.
Yes.
Penny.
Yes.
And Jersa.
Yes. Everybody happy?
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right, let's go on to number 8. A plat of lot S13, a subdivision of the replat of lot S in the northwest quarter of section 27, 10360 of the west, of the 5th principal meridian, city of Memphis, county, South Dakota. Neil, there's a plat picture someplace.
Yep, there is the plats on page 8 of your packet, and as well as there's an aerial on page 10. You may recall this was the pizza ranch not long ago that we had, that they had, you had approved their variance there, and so now they have acquired some additional property to comply with that variance. So this plat is to identify that additional 30 by almost 220 feet. So,
Okay,
that's basically what this is for.
do I hear a motion to approve the plat for way back when we were talking
Yeah.
about it?
Yeah,
Yeah, he needed that for additional parking, now he's got it.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve.
Moved and seconded that plat be approved as presented. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready. to vote.
Just a second.
Aye.
Oh, we got here.
Vote. Excuse me.
We are going to require a drainage plan for the site with the additional parking lot, and the owner does know that.
Okay.
So I have to make my motion with the drink.
Did you vote?
No.
Yeah, you ready? Okay.
He said home. So say go.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Next item, a plat of lot 46A of Molly Farm Second Edition of subdivision of southeast quarter of section 31 to 10460. This will probably have to go to the county too, Warren.
Nope, it's not in the city limits, or
Okay.
within the city limits. So basically what they're doing in this one is the party who owns the front one is the buyer purchasing the back one as well, and they would soon have this one complete parcel. The easement to separate the two will remain, and if there is any construction that takes place on the back lot, then an elevation will be required. So at this point, I'm not sure if that's going to happen. But as you can see, all the existing easements will still be retained. They just would like it together as one parcel.
Okay.
Joe?
So on this, we are not requiring an elevation certificate for the northern piece of property. There is no intention to build a garage or anything of that nature. We did notify the person selling the property and the person buying the property that if a garage is to be built, we will require the elevation data with the building permit.
Questions, comments? Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve.
Second. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item, a plat of lot 54 of Maui Farm Second Edition, a subdivision of the southeast quarter of section 31 to 104 north, and 50 west of the 50th meridian, city of Metro Davidson County. Looks like a kind of a continuation of what we have been doing in the past here.
Pretty well nailed it there. Everybody is following the plan right there. You can kind of see the aerial where it fits.
Any questions, comments?
Joe?
We've received everything we needed on this one, so we're good.
Move to approve it.
Moved and seconded that the plat be approved as presented. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Next item, a hearing and recommendation on ordinance rezoning blocks 1, 2, and 3, west Poppy Loop, east Poppy Loop, and Zeke Avenue of Lake Ridge Division, a subdivision of the irregular tracts number 1 and 2 in the northwest quarter of section 10, 103 north, range 60 west of the 5th principal meridian, city of Metro Davidson County, South Dakota. Okay, who
All right.
would have to talk to us about
I'll get
this?
started here, and then I'll have Mr. Bamer and whoever else wishes to comment on this. Well, I think you've seen this, I don't know, a couple, 3 times now. Now, this is the part that's dealing with is the zoning part of this. The property is currently zoned urban development. And you may recall that we had approved the plat, and the council has approved the annexation as well. So, and then I did put the plat that was approved not long ago, so you can kind of see that as well as background. So this rezoning, which is basically rezoning it from urban development to a Lake Ridge Plan Development District, is only phase 1. This is the deal with the zoning of phase 2 and 3 if and when that happens, or may change at that time. But this is, again, is only phase 1. I'll walk through the ordinance a little bit, and then we'll just kind of go from there. The first part of the well, let me back up one thing, too, is in our numbering system, that letter H where you see may be changing at a later date, just because for codification purposes. So just want to make that in the record. That might change that. So if you see that changes later date sometimes in there. So Okay, 9H1 is basically the legal description. Again, that's blocks 1 and 2 and 3 of the Lake Ridge edition. The purpose, again, is probably very similar to a lot of the other single-family planned development districts. Okay, and 9H3, this is the permitted uses would only be single-family. I think we talked about that this would be the only there, or if they designate any designated open space, if that would happen, then that would be permitted uses, or if there's any parks or playgrounds. Conditional uses would be the home occupations and the child care center, which would be similar to those. I mean, have to go through the hearing process, as well as accessory uses are the home occupations that meet the criteria that don't meet the criteria that would require a conditional use permit. Those are the very low-key type ones. And then obviously if there's any detached accessory buildings and garages and so forth. D, the parking shall comply with whatever the existing code is. Sign regulations would be whatever the current sign regulations are. If the principal building cannot be more than 2.5 stories or 35 feet, again, that's very similar to the other residential areas. No detached garage could exceed 22 feet. Again, that's very similar. The maximum lot coverage on page 20 would be 45%, very similar. Then again, H would be the accessory buildings not to exceed 2,000. However, if you're 45%, you know, if you're using up that much of it, the 2,000 may vary a little bit, or towards the south, so to speak. It would be less than that if you have a lot of lot coverage. So, and then again, the lots are going to be at least 10,000 square and 70 feet wide, and they're well over that. And then these would be the setbacks: 30 front, 30 back, 6 on the sides, and 15 feet on the corner. Again, we would always measure from overhang. So it's very, actually, it's quite a simple PUD. With that, obviously, they have the right to put whatever covenants that they feel are appropriate for themselves, as long as they don't conflict with our ordinance. And then at some point later down the road, a developer's agreement will come up. But this is a pretty straightforward. There as well. This is the public hearing for this, so if anybody wishes to comment, right now the schedule is for first reading at planning or the council on Monday, and it does require 2 readings, so this is kind of the first crack at it.
Anyone from the audience want to make some comments here? I see you guys didn't lay a bunch of stuff out in the triangle shape, so that's going to make life a little bit easier.
I'm Robert Ball. I own a piece of property across the road from it. And dealing with the city and dealing with this right here has never been in my favor, so I can tell you right off the jump that I'll object that as hard as I can. I've already lost out on one thing Mr. Joe already alerted me of. Our guaranteed mayor says we're going to get a driveway over on another piece of property I own without doing his due diligence. Now Joe says that driveway is going to cost me $40,000. So that tells me a lot about how this works. Danny was right there when we went through it. I mean, the whole deal. So no, I'm not. I'm leave here today, go to Sioux Falls, meet with an attorney. He will contact whoever your attorney is, and I will fight this foot and nail, because as soon as you get in there, then the first thing's going to happen is you ain't going to like the sand pit across the street that's been there forever, right off the jump. You ain't going to like the guy down next to me who's a hoarder. He lives back in the woods like an animal. He doesn't bother anybody. But all that's going to change because you want to come there. So where's my guarantee that my sand pit, that my $1 million ain't going to go away? There isn't any. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you for your comment. Anybody else? Anybody else have any comments on this proposed ordinance? Gentlemen of the commission, do you have any comments or questions on this proposed ordinance? Right now?
It looks like everything was approved up to the point of just rezoning. So as far as this wall is, I mean, it's been done already. So it's just a matter
Well, why can't you just do it the way it's zoned already then? You know, you rezoned my other piece of property, soon as you got that done, and then you come back with all the other stuff that you could do after you got it rezoned. So I'm not going for the rezoning it, no. I don't care what's been done, anybody can buy it. I tried to buy it so I wouldn't have to deal with this. But I am not gonna go through that deal. Till you give me something in writing that says that sand pit can stay there under operation, as long as I own it, I'm not gonna agree to it.
But we're not dealing with your land, we're across the road, is that correct?
Exactly, that's how it all starts, right across the fence.
Well, you're jumping way ahead here.
Well, no, you just sat here and told you got 4 or 5, 6 more times we're gonna come at this thing. No, I'm not gonna go like the first round. The old good old boy deal ain't gonna work this time. That's what I did last time, listen to your good old boy deal. Now I gotta pay $40,000 to get a driveway to a house that's only worth $75,000.
What piece of property, I mean, I don't know if I want to get into this.
Yeah, you don't have to. I'm just saying that's how I adjudged to this. You can't sit here and tell me one thing, and then when I got previous interaction with all of you, it didn't come out that way. And now you want me to fall for a bigger piece that I got a hell of a lot more invested than $75,000.
Other comments? Hearing none, I assume we are ready for a motion. This would be a motion to recommend approval to the council. Or disapprove.
And there's another thing. I got approval from the council last time to not let the other thing happen. What does this council do? I got a unanimous approval last time from all of you. Yet when we went to the city with this guy, that threw out the window. I mean, do you carry any kind of clout at all? What is the idea of me coming down here to discuss this? Why shouldn't I just get the lawyer and be done with it? That didn't do a damn thing for me. It was unanimous. Yet what did it do? It went in front of the city. The city threw it out. He did whatever he wanted to do. The good old boy deal came through like always, and there I said. So what tells me that this same thing ain't the good old boy deal and the same setup that we already been down?
We are an advisory board to the council.
Yeah,
so-
but what good's the advisor if he doesn't ever take it?
Well, that's
I mean-
that's not our prerogative.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand it.
We can suggest and we do this.
We even had the attorney for the city advise it. I mean, I'm missing the point. What is does this, tell me where this thing, I mean, I'm lacking to see where its cloud is.
I do not understand what you're asking. So,
It looks to me like the decision's already made long before it gets here. That's all I'm saying to you. And I'm just telling you, I'm still pissed about the last one. This one here, I'll fight tooth and nail.
all right, thank you for your comments. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to.
Do I
I'll
hear a
second it.
Moved and seconded that this body makes a recommendation to the council that this ordinance be approved. Is there discussion on this motion? Hearing none, I assume that you are ready to vote. Neil, let's go roll call, please.
Tursa.
Yes.
Penny.
Yes.
Osterlin.
Yes.
Sonny. Larson.
Yes.
And Genlinger and Columbia Rice. 4-0.
Thank you. All right. Next item. Is there any other business that should come before this body at this time? All right, it's time for public input. If you need to address the city planning commission on an item that was not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium, state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time. If no one comes to come to the podium. We are adjourned.